All right, so I will call this meeting to order at 4:42 p.m. Going right down the list, everyone get the agenda. So discussion, action on June 27th meeting minutes. So I will entertain a motion to approve the minutes that we sent out from our last meeting, June 27th, 2022.
I'll make a motion to approve them, unless John has reservations.
I'm good with it.
Second, from you, John?
Yes.
All right, all in favor? All right, unanimous. So number 3, discussion on financial review, rate adjustment. Walk us through what you sent out.
Sure. Pretty much what I've given you is a current expense and revenue sheet for the sewer department. Your expenses to date are about 185,000. Your total revenues to date are about 170,000. Customarily, when I'm looking at your rates, I look at just your use charges, which is calculated off of your base plus your usage. And move from there, because Robbie mentioned earlier, the lien charges are included as an expense, so it would make sense to logically include both of them. You could if you want to, but that's always just kind of been a buffer for us in terms of looking at the numbers. In 2020, you were operating at 2021, no, year to date, sorry. Year to date, you have a gap of 20,822. Where we're spending more money than we're bringing in terms of revenue. We have also already paid $40,000 in the service on the sewer bond. So if we break that out over 12 months and apply 8 months worth of expense, that brings this expense line down and it leaves you with a shortfall of about $7,500 more spent than brought in. So if you push that out over the course of 12 months and everything stays the same, and then we spread out the sewer bond interest, it appears as though we're going to be operating at a deficit this year of $11,000 to $12,000. That's without putting anything into reserve, that's strictly operating. So the discussion really is, we'll take any questions if you have on finances. The best that we can, we'll answer them for you today and we'll follow up with you. And then you're looking at rates. And if you want to do anything with rates, how you see the rates going. Rate structure is also on the table. Anything like that is, I believe actually the ordinance calls for your board to review rates annually, whether they stay the same, increase, decrease. That's actually the in the ordinance. So.
All right. Any questions for Richard on the revenue or expense reports?
What is the largest? What?
The interest payment?
No, as far as operating costs, I'm sorry.
So not by far, it's you're looking at the cost of labor, but we've got one full-time employee down there. We used to have a part-time employee down there, which we don't really have. And then we bill a portion of finance wages over. We don't bill things like the billing service and collections. That's all done here at the office. None of that is prorated over to the department. So labor by and large is your biggest expense line. Your regular day-to-day operating, there's nothing. Electricity is the standout there.
Yeah.
But then you've got the interest payment for the bond.
So that's like $67,000 for one employee.
So that's an employee and I'll say 1 1/4 employees. It's not accurate, but it's slightly over. I want to say we build 10% of finance wages. Just the sewer fund.
No abatements last year.
No, not from January to December. We had 2 this year. I think we approved 2 this year.
Yeah, and those don't get categorized in the way that they probably should on the surface.
Tim, do the general maintenance, do you expect that to be higher? I know we have a newer planned. Do we expect that to increase in the next years too? Or is it 6,000?
It should increase, but you never know.
Okay. It seems fairly low for, such a large building with so many moving pieces. I mean. So I think, we wanna. I think operationally, we should be operating at net zero or slight revenue in preparation for aging infrastructure.
Yeah, we should have some kind of.
Some slight increase.
extra Yeah,
Rich and I talked, it sounds like I called around. A lot of different sewer districts and sewer departments in the area. To get a feel for what the rates are, and they're all over the place, everywhere. So everywhere from Muskegon, it being completely paid for by taxes and not at all by the usage, to Vassalboro pays $150 a quarter plus 14 cents per cubic foot. Right, so it's all over. So I mean, we're definitely, Norridgewock, the way we sit right now, is definitely the higher end. From the numbers I got, but we do have a newer plan. We have that $40,000 bond payment, which is their interest payment, which is fairly large. There's a bunch of different rate structures we can talk about. And there's some increases we can make. I think do we agree that we need to make an increase to stay net zero?
Yep.
Yeah,
I don't think we have much choice.
that's right, I'm thinking, so. Where is the increase? I think we pretty much have 3 options. We can increase the stub fee, which is a base fee everyone pays.
Right.
We can increase the usage fee, which is how much you pay based on how much you use. Or we can do a net increase on both. And we need to make up how much? 11 grand?
Estimated.
12, yeah.
So does the stub fee adjust based on size of the entrance to the? So if someone
It
like,
pays the same as the key station,
and how many services do we have?
about 350.
And do we have annual usage? Like how much do we bill? How many cubic feet per year do we bill? I guess we could figure it out because it doesn't really matter, does it?
Right.
I'm just trying to figure out how much of an increase we need to make. So if it's $350, 350 services. Right, so if we need, let's call it 12 grand. Divided by 4, divided by 350. That's an $8.50 increase per stub fee. That's pretty reasonable
It's not.
And it's covered off on the entire gap.
to cover the 12 grand, right?
Yeah.
Or we can say an increase of 0.009 per cubic foot. So I'm just trying to get a feel for like what we need. I don't know. Yeah, so it's $8.50 per person
Household or whatever.
per household per quarter.
Right.
So times 4 is $34 a year.
Yeah.
$35 a year.
Hmm.
I'll just pull last year's number real quick for you. Back up the stubs.
Does that make sense why I'm asking that?
Instead of moving everything together, you might move.
One up and one,
Yep.
you know, one up so much and one up another one, just so we can figure out.
Okay, so last year your total use charge was $190,000. That's what we had for use charges in 66,625.
So 190,000.
Yeah,
0.081.
well, no, sorry. You have to back out the stuff for the estimate.
Oh, we didn't do that.
No, sorry, see you're at $123,000 in use charges after stub.
So call it 1.59.
Yep.
So that would bring us up to 9 cents per cubic foot. Because it's 0.008. Or 0.89, so bring it round up to 0.09 per cubic foot. Ish. So that would give us a 12,000, which is not enough. I mean, it is to break even, but if we have investments we want to make in infrastructure, I mean, Tim was just saying that the pipes are 40 years old. And we have work that we want to do and have to do. Repairs, paving.
Anything.
What's a
really
reserve?
that's gonna-
That we would be a reasonable reserve.
They would like 14 to 17% in reserve.
14 to 7% of the full budget,
Total operating costs.
so 190.
Single 15% of that,
Wait.
30 grand.
Where's this 240 or 256 come from? Well, because of the interest payment. And other random fees.
So we're 185 year to date. And I'm expecting if we move out. This first category it's the rate effective 2020, but it's 2021 expenses year to date. Well, I'm sorry, it's 2022 expenses forecasted out that I did on the other sheet. Where I estimated what we.
Oh, I got it.
Expenses.
I got you. So we should have about 25 grand in our reserve.
Yeah.
Obviously, we're not gonna get there in 1 year,
Right,
but if we,
Well, to do that, we could just increase. Instead of $8 a quarter, increase it, and just double it. 16 a quarter.
oh, we could, yeah. that's a
If
lot,
you're
though.
gonna do that,
Yeah, but now we get us 12 grand a year out of surplus. So that gives us in 2 years, we just be close to where we want to be and not do raise. Okay. Do you want a decision today?
it's your pleasure.
Or John, you're quiet. What do you think? What's wrong with your mind?
What I see is you're gonna increase it this year and you're gonna have to increase it next year. Because everything is going through the roof.
Mm.
And I don't know what you guys pay for sewer.
$450 a quarter. So $8 is a small percentage of that. I mean,
right, basically.
It's a lot,
It is,
$400 is a
yeah,
lot.
it is a lot. Yeah.
But I use a lot of water,
Yeah,
you know? Like I said,
The town doesn't kick in anything on the sewer budget.
Yeah, the town pays the $120,000 a year, in the bond.
which makes sense because it's a town asset that you could do stuff on, right?
Arguably.
You could pick a loan on it or,
It's sewer operates in its own fund, supposed to. In the past, when it's gone into the red before we had all of the upgrades, it just went debt to the town. Same as the airport's done in the past. They operate their own funds.
gotcha. Yeah, several places are called J Farmington. The O and M is paid by the consumers and the debt service is paid by the town taxes. So I don't think that's unusual.
But you're also talking about a bigger pool to get funds from too, in those towns.
J? I don't know if J is that much bigger. Is J?
I don't know.
Farmington certainly is. Madison's not. I mean, Madison has a $72 sub fee. But their usage fee is less. Which, would be fine. I think that we would need to make up more because I'm sure that the school and New Balance are using a fair bit compared to John,
Mhm.
so.
We can sleep on it and run some other scenarios if that's what people want to do. Because we've implemented rate increases in October before we do it the first of the year. Takes us 3 months to roll out the rate increase because we equitably roll it out across all billing cycles. And it takes us.
Right,
Yeah. It's a real pleasure.
So what do we think about doing a meeting? I don't know what everyone's schedule looks like in a couple weeks.
Yeah.
Again, and Richard, could you come up with a couple scenarios where we could get a slight surplus, start building in like $10,000 a year surplus?
So you'd like to get us 10,000 this year? In the
10,000.
next annual
In the
cycle.
next annual cycle, right, so cover the expenses, cover the 11,300 or 12,000 plus the $10,000 surplus, so we'll have the 25 or 30,000 surplus we are supposed to have by 2025.
Right,
Does that make sense? So we can work in a couple options that we can mull over, basically the 3 options we talked about, increasing cubic feet, cost per usage, sub fee, and what does that look like? And then, I'm just creating one for you, sorry. How does that work for a flat rate person?
I mean, honestly, if it were me and I was looking at flat rate, I would break it down for right now. So our flat rate right now is 146.40. Back up the stub fee, average out what that is. And go with it, or we could ask the water district to provide us with averages for those customers and take a look at it that way.
What's the flat rate? If
So-
someone who's on a well and is on connected to sewer?
Correct.
Okay,
So Pleasant Hill out of the airport road, first left out there, that neighborhood is there. I think that's about it for flat rate customers.
so not a substantial number. Really?
Our increases obviously hit them.
what is the flat rate? Those houses are all on
If you
one,
have a well and you're on public sewer,
okay,
we can't meter your water going there.
okay,
So we just flat rate.
George, right, okay,
So you could be a household of 1 and, well, your sewer bill might be $100, but you can pay the 140 anyway.
right.
So something else I think would be value to see, looking at these numbers, would be fixed rate expenses versus variable rate expenses. So electricity, variable rate, if we flow 0 cubic feet to that plant, we're not gonna run lower if we don't, we're not gonna, you know what I mean? Heat, fixed rate. Right, because you have to keep that building heated, otherwise it's gonna freeze. Your salary, fixed rate, right? Because you don't get bonus based on the more water you flow through that plant. So that can kind of tell us like what fixed rate versus variable rate, to say, okay. An idea of a stub fee, right? So say our fixed rate is. Our fixed rate is, $140,000. And, and then the other 50,000 is operational, we should make the stub fee cover the fixed rates, and then the operational cover the usage fee, cover the. Option. You don't like all my options, I don't blame too many options.
That's fine, I think it'd be interesting to see where that is. That's gonna be a pretty good shift, I would think, in the model, but
Right, so anything we present, does that have to go through the select board? Oh, it doesn't,
no,
Scary.
you are the board.
that's scary.
The electrical, that's 20,000 plus, and it's gonna be even more next year. What's the option of doing something to reduce that?
Yeah, so there's different bid options we talked about, there's some different. We could lock in, I know that KSTD just locked in for 20 cents a kilowatt hour. For the next 3 years, I heard that there's rumblings of going up to 44 cents per kilowatt hour. CMP going up over the next 3 years, but I couldn't imagine, there's no way that'd be crazy. Yeah.
Most people couldn't imagine paying over $5 a gallon of gas either.
Right. Yeah, I mean, electricity is a huge expense, running those blowers is expensive, running the pumps is expensive.
Got to do it.
You have to, I mean, it's a requirement, you have to do it.
What about putting in solar panels to compensate for? Because we're doing the solar ordinance, to produce some of the power for the plant.
Yeah, I mean, I think that there's options there. I mean, how much land do we have? At the plant?
This,
5 acres, 5 acres in the field.
I mean, I don't know where, I think that'd be us, would that be select board, planning board? I mean, didn't we put a pause on all new solar?
Yeah, right now, yeah.
Yeah,
or finishing
You
the,
consume on site, it's different though. But it's gonna be supposed to be.
I don't think it'd be consumed on site though. I mean, we wouldn't be able to do 100%. It'd be too hard to, it'd have to feed back into the system. I mean, we have variable operational demands. We're not gonna put in 1 million kilowatt hours of battery banks. I know municipal is different for regulation wise from CMP. I know there is some municipal, I don't know, call them loopholes, but variances in the requirements. Yeah. Yeah,
if you could cut the electricity in half, I mean, that's $10,000 right there.
Yeah, there is also overhead. I mean, there's capital improvement expenses, right? So like, a solar field that's gonna produce enough power to make a meaningful impact is gonna be $200,000. Yeah, Tim, do you think you could maybe,
Turn off some lights.
yeah, think about some cost saving measures? I mean, like electricity, like, something like, just think about it. We don't need a report, but just like, solar, maybe reach out to solar company and say, is there value here? Work with Richard on that. I don't think that there's any. I don't know. And is there 3-phase power there? Oh, it has to be. There has to be for pumps. I mean, there's some value. We could definitely see a projection.
That's half the size of what they're putting in town for the 3 that we're doing. I mean, 11, 12, 13 acres, both the size of the solar farms that we've been putting in.
Yeah, I don't know enough about it to solar stuff today. Sorry. Okay,
And like with the solar farms, the companies that put them in because they're basically reaping the benefits. There's zero landowner charge to it. I mean, like,
yeah, then there's a contracted rate for X number of years to purchase power at a certain rate, right?
so,
And then at the end, there's a buyout option for a certain amount of money, or you can continue free contract with them.
yeah,
The way I understood it.
I think with the town of Norridgewock, we're looking at the decommissioning after 25 years. But 25 years, who knows? I mean, they're talking about shooting off a bunch of nukes now, so what's next week look like?
Okay. Is there anything else we want to talk about before? Rich, so a couple weeks, is that enough time to put it together, a couple options for us to discuss? And I'd like a recommendation from you
Oh, thanks.
in a couple weeks. So a couple options of recommendation. We're looking the week of the. Right,
It's a holiday week.
let's do it the 10th. You can come in on Indigenous People Day.
What was the previous year total budget?
What did we spend? I just have that up. Here, so in 2021, we spent 234,822. And revenues were at 253,898. So it's a gain in 2021 of 19,000. 2020 was a gain of 35,000. But before that, it's a loss of 25, 38, 29, 29, 28, 36, 35.
So we're still in the red, essentially, significantly.
I mean, in 2010, the sewer department lost $51,000. So there's 100, 200, there's probably $350,000 worth of losses in the last 10 years.
Okay. So,
I got a question. Is it because the sewer treatment plant is twice the size of what we're using? Why we have such a loss? The upgrade.
I mean, obviously it makes it more than it probably would be ordinarily, but you end up needing redundancies in the system in order to be able to maintain. I think a lot of what we had was aging infrastructure that drove that, and then an intention to raise.
I was gonna say, for just saying, so finally, but where it is.
Right. Nobody wanted to be the bad guy and say, okay, well, we need to look at rates. This commission has not looked at rates on an annual basis unless you're forced to by administration. Because nobody wants to do that. But you're supposed to review them every fall, or once a year, I guess, but it's customarily done in the fall to prepare for like an October 1st increase.
Yeah, I don't think that's gonna,
No,
that's.
that's fine.
So we'll start January, we'll plan on
Right,
January.
January, February, something like that. But I prefer February just because it gets me out at the end of the year. But it's because we didn't want to look at rates and expenses were out of control. Everything was falling apart. That's what, you know, we got violations from DEP, so you're throwing money at all of that stuff. Instead of maintaining, we were repairing.
Okay. Yeah. So do we for the
Week after?
or the 17th? We want on Mondays. Oh, Tuesdays are busy, right? And it's a holiday.
I'm booked I have meetings every night that week.
Okay, well, do you want to do it? On the 17th, or do you want to do it different?
I can do the 17th, Monday the 17th.
Or do you want to do later in the week? It's up to you. I'm pretty
We could
open,
do Monday or Tuesday.
you're pretty open with that, news.
That's
I
it.
think I.
Wednesday nights, I'm tied up. I teach down at the homeless shelter,
Most nights or Wednesdays?
just Wednesday
Oh,
nights.
okay. 17th,
So, okay, is that a Tuesday?
It's a Monday.
A Monday,
Monday the 17th at 4:30.
4:30.
That'll be the next meeting, and
Okay,
that whole meeting will be great discussion.
discussion.
Yep.
Right.
Yep, and I'd like to come out of that meeting with a decision, so we can say, hey, give people a heads up as of February 1, so like 5 months, they can plan ahead.
Sounds good.
Seem okay to you?
It's nice if we can get a full bill cycle out. By the time we decide what the rate increase is gonna be.
Yeah.
So we can get it on their bills, say next bill you get is gonna have that increase, so you don't have to send the extra mail or.
Yeah, that's perfect. So if we make a decision the 17th for February 1. Or do you change? Well, you said you want to be done at the end of the year, so February 1, we have plenty of time. Okay, perfect.
Okay.
10, 17, 22. Great. Moving on to other business.
I would like to explore the option of some way of cutting down one of our biggest expenses, which is electricity. Next to labor cost, the electricity is probably the next biggest. And it's just gonna go up and up and up. And we have 5 acres sitting there.
Yeah, I think we asked Tim to look into that, Tim. Richard.
Reach out to a solar company of. Cause that would be what, like 1.5 megawatt.
I mean, I think that's a great job for these guys who work this every day.
We can't do that right now.
Oh, yeah, 'cause we're.
Because of the moratorium.
So we have the moratorium, which is the will of the voters for elected bodies, we'd be going against that, wasting theoretically time, energy, labor, everything else in order to do that, so. We're gonna wait for the ordinance to get settled out, and then we need to get the vote on the ordinance, and then we can move on that, if that's still the pleasure of the people. So I'm gonna spend thousands of dollars in his time, my time, and the consultant's time. To move on that right now.
Okay. With that said, I think that there still is some discussions that we can have about electricity savings. Maybe some demand fees. You run all night, I know you do, right? So I mean,
And everything, blowers are all on minimum hertz, so they're running as slow as they can go.
yeah, is there an option? Could you shut down for 4 hours?
Yeah.
So, I mean, there is potential savings there with a demand response. So that's something we can look into. I think that's a staff level investigation though, in our report, saying, hey, this is what we think. I don't think that's operationally our purview, we're an oversight board versus. You need to look into this, I think that, maybe saying, hey, can we look into energy savings and then let
What
them.
about a wage reduction?
That's right.
Absolutely not, absolutely.
I can go away.
Yeah, no, absolutely not. Okay, but that will not be discussed in the October. That will be discussed. Q1 probably.
Okay.
Is it okay?
Sure.
I don't wanna, I feel like I'm sounding really bossy.
Well,
Any other business you want to talk about while we're here? Just make sure it's.
Yeah.
Johnny, you all set? You just wanna-
Yeah, yeah. Nothing that I can offhand think of.
All right, cool. So I will entertain a motion to adjourn then.
I'll second that.
I guess I will make a motion to adjourn. Second. All in favor? All right, thank you.